Okay, sports fans, this is Coach EJ, the brand.
And Coach Aaron, the source.
Aaron, we're going to talk about something that we always talk about daily when I show up at as we call it, the shop. The shop. And that is practice mentality, man. You know, practice mentality with our athletes, you know, how to practice, goals in practice. Do athletes just show up without any preparation, or they're looking for the magic pill? There's no plan in what they're doing. So, hey, this is our subject today, Aaron.
Yeah, being a former coach, that was probably one of the most aggravating things, is to just kind of see athletes checking in. You know, you're not really engaged, or they're not sure what to get out of it. I think, just from my own experience as an athlete, to me, practice was about being ready for my competitions.
Right.
And so I wanted to have the same type of stimulus, you know, mentally, and have that same approach, so that way I practiced like I was going to perform. So I used to change the terminology with my athletes, and I'd say, hey, we're not practicing, we're rehearsing. So just like actors on a play rehearse their lines so that they learn their timing, they learn to be on point, it's natural when they make the transition to their performance day. And I don't think athletes approach it that way. Athletes pretty much, it's kind of like I said, it's kind of like, you know, Joe Lunchpail, punch the clock. I do what I need to do and I'm gone. And you don't make that connection. I mean, you can't make the leap from doing things like that to saying, hey, now I'm going to perform on game day, you know, like this grade A player. I just think there's too big a discrepancy in at least even the mental aspect of it, let alone the physical aspect of it. You know, a lot of people say, well, I can turn the switch on. Yeah.
Good luck.
Okay. So I just think it's easier to turn that switch on if you have the right mentality when you go to practice.
Right. Aaron, this hits home so well, you know, just coaching our club right now and watching players come to practice and really not having, we lay out a practice plan, this we're gonna do, and then the rehearsal is just so nonchalant.
Yeah.
And when you get nonchalant practicing, you will get a nonchalant result in the game. If you don't understand that I want to do this with precision, and the word you use hits home: rehearsal, not practicing just to show up, but rehearsing your goal or your fundamental or your line or your free throw or your preparation before you take an at bat. That is so important that it makes it easier for the athlete to perform in the game. And I think players miss out on that is the perfect time that's improvement, right? Isn't that improvement?
Right.
Rehearsing correctly, and you may not get the result you want in the game, but your preparation rehearsal is getting you closer to the result that you want. It may not happen that game, but it's building like compound interest. Yeah. And you eventually want to get to that stage where you're just on point all the time, because you understand that your rehearsal and practice just got better.
Right.
You know, so I think that's important. And the rehearsal word, I think, was key, because you said something about actors, you know.
Yeah.
And I always look at athletes as that. We're rehearsing for the stage, right? The stage is the competition. People are watching. The spotlight's on you at some time, and that's your time to shine. Why not be at your best? Why not take that in practice, where that's my goal, is to be the best? And how can I be the best if I don't practice or rehearse correctly?
Well, I think it takes a pretty big mental shift for some of these athletes. And the reason being is, I look at athletes today and maybe even in the education system, where a lot of the learning is really about just memorizing, or what is it called, rote, memorizing for the moment, and then you're using it for the test or whatever immediate aspect you need it for, and then you're forgetting it. And so I think that's the same approach that athletes are taking in practice. They're going out, they're taking a few ground balls, they might be learning it or memorizing it for the moment, but once they leave the field, it's kind of gone.
Right.
Versus,
Yes, I do know. That hits home like loud and clear.
Versus, maybe some kind of learning where they're saying, okay, I'm catching the ball this way because it's going to put me in position to make this type of throw, or I'm going through this sort of drive phase in my sprint because it's going to transition me into higher speed further down the line. Versus, okay, we're going to do block starts today. Okay, I did 6 block starts. It's like, well, what did you learn about those block starts?
Right.
Why are we doing them this way so that they transfer into performance later on in the race? And I don't know if they really make those connections. I mean, one of the things that I thought about when I was in school, and this was much later, especially in college, it kind of forced you to make the connections. It wasn't just take the information, but here are 3 pieces of information, and how are they interconnected?
Right.
And that's how you came about your answers. So there was a deeper thought process going on versus, okay, give me this, memorize these historical dates,
right,
and give them to me. And I guess that's the best analogy that I can come up with, because it seemed easier for me to link the events together. That made it easier for me to understand the events and then come back to it happened on this date, versus trying to remember, okay, what happened on this date? What happened on this date? I just, I think that's the learning process that athletes take to practice. And so you don't really get the transfer. Me, I'm big about transfer. I'm big about bridging what you do in the gym, bridging what you're doing in your practicing, or i.e. rehearsals, to the game. Because we're all doing this for one reason: to perform. That's it.
That is that. You hit it right on the head, Aaron. That's what we're trying to do. And that is a mentality thing. You said it when you said, I took this information, put together, and how would I source it to get it to this part in competition? Man, that's valuable. That's strong. That's legitimate. And the mental approach, the mentality, you can have said that any better. And that's why you call it practice mentality. What else can be said? That is just right on point, my man. Right on point. Hey, sports fan, check this out. I want you to hit back to our other podcast, and that's the previous stuff we did, the Simulating Competition podcast, people, and bringing practice and performance together. Because what Aaron talked about today, those 2 podcasts and this podcast, man, it will make you, it'll take you to the next level. So Aaron, hey, this is a brand checking out.
And this is the source. See ya.